What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. This is it, the final college football game of the year. And you know what? In my opinion, I think we're going to have the two best teams on the field in this national championship game. It's the Alabama Crimson Tide, it's the Georgia Bulldogs. This is going to be a very fun game. Upcoming on Monday in Indianapolis in Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm here as of recording and uploading this on Saturday, previewing this game, giving you some keys to the game, and finally giving you my prediction on what I think is going to happen. And my prediction might shock you. So we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But before we do, hey, first off, this is a relatively new channel. I've only been on YouTube for around 1.5 to 2 years. So if you could, around 1.5 years, it'll be 2 years in May. If you could, please hit that subscribe button. Also, like, comment, share, do anything like that. Help grow my channel. I really, really would appreciate it. Again, I really do think that these are the two best teams that we have in college football this year. You could also look at Michigan, you could look at Cincinnati, you could look at Ohio State, Baylor, any teams like that. But I really do think consistently these two teams have shown that they are the two best teams in college football this year, and that's how it should be, right? The two best teams battling out for a chance at the national title. Although I will say neither of these teams really did impress me or a whole lot of people in their national semifinal wins, I should say. Georgia, of course, beating Michigan, blowing them out, and Bama just kind of doing what they had to do to get through and beat Cincinnati. But this is going to feel like this is going to feel like probably a better played game than we saw in the SEC championship back in December, right? So only about a month ago, of course, Bama beat Georgia for the SEC championship. Georgia's going to look to take revenge, but of course, Alabama, we know what Alabama and Nick Saban can do. So before we get into some keys of the game, I'm just going to go through some history with you guys, get through a bit of a history lesson. We're going to look at the series history first. So all time, Alabama leads the series against Georgia 42 wins, 25 losses, and 4 ties back when ties were still a thing. The overall win streak right now, so the current win streak going on, is Bama, and they have won 7 in a row. And all of them have been when Nick Saban is the head coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide. When you look at Nick Saban, speaking of him, he is 9-2 all time versus the Georgia Bulldogs. I believe 1-1 as an LSU head coach, and then 8-1 as a Bama head coach. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it's something like that. But he definitely lost one at LSU. He's also lost one at Alabama. It was his first time playing Georgia, but of course has won 7 straight since then. Nick Saban has dominated Georgia, and especially dominated when Kirby Smart is that head coach. Of course, a former assistant under Nick Saban. He is 4-0 all-time against Kirby Smart. But this is the stat that really should get Georgia fans scared and worried. Georgia has looked like the #1 team all year until that SEC title game, right? Nick Saban, though, is 7-2 in rematch games, and that's all time. That's pro, that's college, that's wherever he's been. He is 7-2 in rematch games. What does that mean? It means that Nick Saban, as a coach, is 7-2 all time when his team goes to play a team for the second time in the same season. So, example, when he was back at LSU, they faced Tennessee twice. He won both of those. Similar scenarios have happened when he's played, again, Georgia twice. Even, I believe, when he's played, you guys know what I'm getting at, right? When he's played a team twice in the same season, he has won both games every single season. He's never lost one. And at the college level, of course, those 2 losses have come at the professional level. But when he is the head coach of a college team, his team never loses to the same team twice, if that makes sense. Probably did a bad job of explaining that, but you guys probably know what that means. But 7-2 all time throughout his entire coaching career in rematch games. That is outstanding. He's undefeated in rematch games at the college level. Look at the college football playoff history from both of these teams. Georgia, this is their second time in the college football playoff, and they have won both of their semifinal games. But The one national title they went to, which happened to be against this Alabama team, they did lose. It was 26-23 in overtime after Georgia was up by 13 at the half. I believe it was 13-0. Was a very, very, very fun game to watch. And of course, Bama coming on with Tua to win that game there in overtime. But anyway, to Alabama's college football playoff history now. They are 6-1 all-time in semis. Of course, that only loss coming to Ohio State in the first ever college football playoff. Ohio State went on to win the national championship, and Alabama has not lost a semifinal game since. They are 3-2 all-time in the Natty. Both losses actually coming to the Clemson Tigers back when Clemson and Alabama seem to be on a collision course every single year to play in the national title. Of course, this is Bama's 7th time in the college football playoff. This is going to be their 6th national championship. The 3 wins you see there are 1 against the Georgia Bulldogs. They've also beaten Clemson once. And just recently, last year, they beat Ohio State in the national championship game to win the national title. Nick Saban is seeking his 8th national title as a head coach. Of course, brought one to LSU, has brought 6 of them to Alabama, is going to look to bring his 7th to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Just a historic, probably the best head coach to ever coach the college game. Of course, that is still up for debate and in the air, but definitely a conversation for another day. I'll be talking about coaching hires later in the video. But anyway, back to Georgia and Alabama. Let's go ahead. We hope that we can get a game like that in 2018, right? Bama down by 13. They come back, force overtime, and it's a game-winning Hail Mary pass on 2nd and 26, or 2nd and 23, I believe, of all things, from the backup quarterback. Of course, Saban benches Jalen Hurts. Believe he went out with an injury, and Tua comes on for the game-winning touchdown pass. We're now going to go through some keys to the game for each of these two teams. What do each of these teams need to do in order to come away with a national championship win? We're first going to look at the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm going to give you 5 keys to the game for both Georgia and for Alabama. The first key to the game I have for the Georgia Bulldogs is you got to contain Bryce Young, the Heisman winner. He's looked now, the Heisman this year really was up for debate. There were a lot of guys that could have gone on and win it, but Bryce Young was the guy eventually that went on to win it, and I don't have an argument with that at all. He has been fantastic all year. Georgia has got to contain him, and they got to get the pass rush involved. They got to get pressure to Bryce Young, make Bryce Young force some hard throws, but that's something that Bryce Young has done well all year long, has been able to handle pressure. Georgia's got to get consistent pressure to him with that just amalgamation, that just plethora. That's the word I was looking for. The plethora of pass rushers that they have. Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis. I could list off so many guys that can get back to the quarterback. They got to get him involved. Contain Bryce Young. Do not let him be explosive. And speaking of the pass game, you got to know where number 1, Jameson Williams, is at all times. That is very, very important for Georgia to win this game. Now, Jameson Williams, that's something Cincinnati did a good job of, right? Jameson Williams did have the team high in catches, but they limited his big play ability, which is what has driven this Alabama offense all year long. They got to do the same thing of what Cincinnati does. It's going to be hard for them, though, because they have a depleted backfield. Their secondary not really at full strength, but they got to try their best to limit the big playability of Bryce Young and Jameson Williams. And speaking of big playability, look at what we saw in the national semifinal. Brian Robinson. Bryce Young was not the highlight on offense in that game. It was Brian Robinson. He won MVP. He won offensive MVP of that Cotton Bowl. Not really a player. Well, of course, a very, very good running back. To start at Alabama, you got to be a really good running back. Was a former 5-star, but he just hadn't really gotten going this year. There were a lot of doubts of, okay, Bama's run game just isn't what it usually is. Brian Robinson proved a lot of people wrong in that game, ran for over 200 yards in that game. Georgia cannot let that happen. They got to be worried about Bryce Young, and that's probably going to be their main concern. But Brian Robinson showed us in the national semifinal that there is a run game threat from Alabama, and Georgia has to take notice of that. They cannot let Brian Robinson get going if they want to win this game. A little bit of a shift over now to Georgia's offense. Stetson Bennett needs to be an elite level playmaker in this game. There's been a lot of criticism about Stetson Bennett on, he's not the guy. You really think Stetson Bennett is going to bring Georgia a national title? He showed in that national semifinal that, yes, he can bring Georgia a national title. He has made plays with his arms, with his legs, and he's been the most undervalued quarterback probably ever. Stetson Bennett is a guy that Alabama's got to keep their eye on, but Georgia needs to get going. He's got to play a game like he did against Michigan in that Orange Bowl semifinal game in order to have a shot to win here and get it to his guys. Georgia's wide receiver core has been banged up this year, but you know what? They have a lot of guys back. Brock Bowers, he's been fantastic. You got to look to get it to him early and often. And speaking of guys coming back, you got Burton, you got Jermaine Burton coming back, you got George Pickens coming back as well. Both of them are coming off some injuries, but they are going to play vital parts in this passing attack. Stetson Bennett has got to make plays. And the last key I have here for the Georgia Bulldogs is contain Will Anderson. That offensive line needs to do a good job of not letting Will Anderson and the pass rush get home, because Stetson Bennett, while he's made some really good plays in the past couple of games that he's shown throughout this year, the pass rush really did not get home for Aiden Hutchinson, and David Ojabo didn't even record a stat in that national semifinal game. They got to do much of the same against Will Anderson and this pass rush, because if Will Anderson was draft eligible, I'm telling you, he would be the #1 pick overall. He is an amazing player, amazing capabilities. He's going to be a little bit of a different beast than what Hutchinson and Ojabo are going to be able to throw at you. There are my 5 keys to the game for the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's now shift to my 5 keys of the game for the Alabama Crimson Tide. The reigning national champions are going to look to repeat for the 18th time under Nick Saban. The first key to the game I have here is exactly what Georgia doesn't want. You got to let Bryce Young and these elite wide receivers talking about Williams, talking about even Slade Bolden. John Mechie, of course, not available to play in this game. So guys other than Jameson Williams are going to have to step up. You saw that in the national semifinal, especially with a guy like Slade Bolden. Some of those guys are going to have to step up. But that needs to be the dictator on offense, because we know Georgia's rush defense historically this season, or I guess statistically this season, has been really, really good. So that pass offense, it's got to find its rhythm against a depleted secondary that they're going to see out of Georgia. But staying on the offensive side, Brian Robinson, you got to have him stay hot. I just mentioned it. Statistically this year, Georgia has had one of the best run defenses in the entire nation. Brian Robinson's going to need to have another game like he had against Cincinnati to be able to have Alabama have a better shot, I should say, to go ahead and win this national championship. So they got to have a balanced offensive attack, because, of course, Georgia's going to be worried about the pass. And again, statistically, Alabama's run game has not been what it usually is under Nick Saban. Brian Robinson proved us wrong in last game against Cincinnati. Got to prove us wrong again in this game for Alabama to pretty much guarantee themselves a win here. Well, probably shouldn't have said guarantee, but you guys know what I mean. Third key of the game here, Alabama's got to score fast and score often. Georgia is not a team that likes to play from behind. They're not a dynamic offense. They're not going to hit you with a big play after big play, although they definitely have shown that threat. And something I didn't even mention on Georgia's slide that I probably should have was that run game. They have a plethora of fantastic running backs when you look at Zamir White, James Cook, Kenny McIntosh, and others that can really torch you. So Bama has got to score fast, score often, and I'm even going to put in here, that's not on the slide, score early. Bama's got to get that offense moving, make Georgia feel the pressure, and try to have Georgia make some plays. The fourth key of the game here for Alabama is, again, exactly what Georgia doesn't want. Get home on the pass rush and let Will Anderson go to work. He's one of the best pass rushers in America. He's one of the best linebackers, if not the best linebacker in America. I'm telling you guys, if he was draft eligible, he would be the #1 overall pick. No question about it. He is that good. It's a scary name, and it's a scary player that Georgia's going to go up against here in Will Anderson. Alabama's got to make Stetson Bennett feel that pressure. Let Will Anderson get in Stetson Bennett's face, and Alabama will be looking pretty. Will Anderson is a guy that I really like. I really like this kid. I love how he plays the game, and he could have a monster game if he's able to go to work and get in Stetson Bennett's face, and also limit Stetson Bennett's play ability. Because, again, he's not really a guy that will take off and run, but he has shown you that he will take off and run. So getting home on the pass rush, very important here for Alabama. And the fifth key to the game, what more do you want me to say about Nick Saban? His experience and results in a national championship setting are just on another planet. They are out of this world. Nick Saban is the best of the best when it comes to getting results when it matters most. And Nick Saban, earlier this season, he even said, it's not about how you've played, it's about how you finish. And Nick Saban is going to hope that his Crimson Tide finish off the season with yet another national championship for Nick Saban, for the school of the University of Alabama. Can't say any more good things about Nick Saban. He probably the best coach to ever do it. Okay, I've given you my 5 keys. I've given you a little history lesson, and there is no more time wasting on my part. Number 3, Georgia. Number 1, Alabama. A huge rematch in Indy for the national championship. You see the trophy in all its glory in the center there. Of course, the 2022 national championship game in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Georgia, Alabama, in my opinion, the 2 best teams in the nation. What could be more fun than this? Of course, this game is going to be played on Monday, January 10th. Going to start at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can find this game exclusively on ESPN. But, of course, if you go to ESPN2, they're going to have the command center, different broadcast stations. They're rolling out everything for this national championship game. It might surprise a fair few of you to find out that Georgia is actually the 2.5-point favorite in this game, but I don't blame the odds makers for that in the slightest. 52 is that over and under that you will find in this game as well. Georgia, Alabama, again, neither of these teams were really super impressive in their national semifinal wins. I think both these teams are going to come out. They're going to play super fast, super aggressive in this game. Georgia, of course, has the bigger chip on their shoulder. Kirby Smart never beaten Nick Saban, never beaten Alabama, but Georgia has looked like the best team for the majority of the year. They were the team that spent the majority of the time at number 1, of course, until Alabama came along and was able to beat Georgia and claim that number 1 spot, and that is why Georgia is favored in this game. This is going to be a very good game. You're going to see both of these offenses really go at it. The run game, the pass game, even the pass rush. But I think secondary is going to play a huge part in this game. As I said, Georgia has a depleted secondary, and we know Bama has the better playmakers in the secondary as well. But I'm going to give you my prediction right now. I'm going to waste no more time, and here it is. Georgia 30, Alabama 28. I think Georgia is going to come out of the gate, and I think they're going to come out fast. I think Stetson Bennett is going to prove a lot of people wrong in this game. And I mean a lot of people wrong in this game. And I think the Georgia offense is going to come out fast. I think it's going to come out flying, maybe score a lot of points early. And I think this Georgia defense does what they couldn't do in that SEC championship game, and that is limit Bryce Young and limit Jameson Williams. Bryce Young pretty much able to do whatever he wanted in that game against Georgia in the SEC championship game. I think Georgia finds a way to slow him down. I think Georgia finds a way to slow Brian Robinson down. And Georgia, in my opinion, are going to be your 2022 national champions. Let the confetti rain in red and gold, in red and black. I think Georgia is going to be the team that stands out on top. They've looked like the best team all year long. That is, of course, until Alabama came around. And hey, I always say this: it's hard enough to beat a team once. It's hard enough to beat a team once, and it's really, really freaking hard to beat a team twice. I think Nick Saban's run of rematch games, being undefeated, ends here. Georgia is your national champion. I think they find a way. They get it done. If Georgia's going to win a national championship, this is their year to do it. And I think Georgia finally gets over the hump of Alabama. Kirby Smart finally gets over that Alabama hump, and it's Georgia hoisting the national championship trophy in Indianapolis as the gold confetti falls around them. That is going to do it for my preview prediction. Let me know your winner in the comment section below. I really do think this game could go either way. Is it going to surprise me if Alabama wins this game? No, not at all. It's Alabama. We know how good this team is. But I think if Georgia's going to win a national title, they're going to win it right now. And I think that they are going to get it done. They will avenge their loss from Atlanta, win in Indianapolis, and the Georgia Bulldogs will claim the national championship. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Please tell me your winner, your predicted score, everything like that. Who do you think the MVP is going to be? I think in this one, the defense will come up clutch. It'll be Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, one of those two. Maybe even Stetson Bennett gets MVP. But either way, the Georgia Bulldogs are my pick to win the 2022 national championship. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, anything you can to help support the channel. But the most important thing, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. After this video tomorrow, hopefully, I will be posting my bowl game review of every game that's not a New Year's Six game. I hope so. Anyway, but if not, I'll definitely post it later this week. And then we'll get into some off-season stuff as well. Uploads will become less frequent, stuff like that, but I'll talk over schedule in another video. But anyways, guys, I'm going to say it again. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Georgia Bulldogs, national champions. Goodbye.